The year was 1848, a time when the very air in Paris seemed charged with anticipation and unrest. The city's grand boulevards and narrow alleys alike echoed with the footsteps of people hungry for change. Across Europe, revolution was in the air. France's July monarchy, which had promised so much but delivered so little, finally crumbled under the weight of public anger and disappointment. In the streets, crowds gathered, their voices rising in protest. They demanded an end to corruption, to a government that seemed to serve only the wealthy elite, leaving ordinary citizens behind. Out of this chaos, the Second Republic was born. It was a moment filled with both hope and uncertainty, as people wondered if true liberty and justice could finally be achieved. Paris became a city of debate and discussion. In smoky cafes and bustling salons, citizens from all walks of life argued passionately about the future, inspired by the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Into this volatile landscape stepped Louis-Napoléon Bonaparte, the nephew of the legendary Napoleon. His name alone stirred memories of past glory and national pride. Once in exile, Louis-Napoléon understood the pain and frustration of the people. He promised not just order and stability, but a new era where every French citizen could feel secure and valued. He reached out to farmers in the countryside and workers in the cities, presenting himself as a unifier who could bridge the deep divides in French society. The presidential election of December 1848 was a turning point. For the first time, millions of Frenchmen were able to cast their votes, hoping their voices would shape the nation's destiny. Louis-Napoléon won by a landslide, securing over 5 million votes. His victory was not just political, it was deeply emotional, a sign that the people longed for a strong leader to guide them through uncertain times. Jubilant crowds filled the streets, celebrating what they saw as the dawn of a new era. Many believed Louis-Napoléon would end the turmoil and protect their way of life. On the day of his inauguration, he swore to uphold the Constitution as the first president of the French Second Republic, promising to serve the people above all else. Yet, behind his calm exterior, Louis-Napoléon harbored ambitions that reached far beyond the presidency. In the quiet corridors of power, he began to plot his next move. His presidency quickly became a struggle. The National Assembly was filled with opponents, men who distrusted his intentions and sought to keep his power in check. Monarchists and Republicans, usually bitter rivals, found common cause in their fear of his ambition. They worked together to limit his authority, wary of another Bonaparte rising to absolute power. But Louis-Napoléon was nothing if not patient. He quietly built a loyal network of supporters, men and women who believed in his vision and were ready to help him achieve it. He traveled across France, holding rallies and meeting ordinary people. With every handshake and speech, he strengthened his popularity, preparing for the moment when he could seize an even greater prize. The tension in France grew with each passing day. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation that would decide the fate of the Republic and the future of France itself. The Constitution of the French Second Republic, established after the 1848 Revolution, was clear. No president could serve 2 consecutive terms. This rule was meant to prevent the rise of another dictator and to safeguard the fragile democracy that had just emerged. But Louis-Napoléon Bonaparte, nephew of the legendary Napoleon, was not content with a single term. He tried to change the law through legal means, appealing to the assembly and the public, but his efforts were firmly blocked by political opponents who feared his growing ambition. Refusing to accept defeat, Louis-Napoléon began plotting in secret. He surrounded himself with trusted allies, including his cunning half-brother, the Duc de Morny, and other loyalists who shared his vision of a stronger, more centralized France. In the early hours of December 2nd, 1851, Parisians awoke to a city transformed overnight. The air was thick with tension and uncertainty as rumors of a coup spread rapidly. Soldiers loyal to Louis-Napoléon marched through the streets, occupying key locations. Prominent political leaders were swiftly arrested, and the National Assembly was forcibly dissolved, leaving the government in chaos. Louis-Napoléon addressed the nation, claiming he was acting to save the Republic from chaos and division. He promised stability and order, seeking the authority to draft a new constitution that would restore France's greatness. Resistance erupted in the streets as Republicans and workers built barricades, determined to defend their freedoms. Yet, the uprising was fierce, but ultimately short-lived. Many citizens, weary of instability, chose order over liberty. The army, unwavering in its loyalty to Louis-Napoléon, crushed the rebellion with brutal efficiency. The opposition was silenced, and the city returned to a tense calm. With dissenters suppressed, Louis-Napoléon called for a national plebiscite. The people, eager for peace, granted him overwhelming support, effectively giving him a popular mandate to rule as a dictator. Just 1 year later, another plebiscite was held, this time to restore the empire. The results were decisive, paving the way for a new era. On December 2nd, 1852, Louis-Napoléon was crowned Napoleon III, Emperor of the French, in a grand ceremony that marked the birth of the Second Empire. The Second Republic was no more. The Second Empire had begun, ushering in a new chapter in French history. Napoleon III envisioned Paris as the world's most beautiful city. The old Paris, a medieval maze, was ripe for disease and revolution. He appointed Georges-Eugène Haussmann to transform it. Haussmann, a determined administrator, began an ambitious urban renewal. Entire neighborhoods were demolished, displacing thousands. Wide boulevards replaced narrow streets, allowing air, goods, and troops to move freely. The transformation was breathtaking, with grand buildings and parks like the Bois de Boulogne. A modern sewer system improved public health, and clean water was supplied. Paris became a symbol of modernity, attracting global visitors. However, the project was costly, funded by massive borrowing. Haussmann's methods were criticized as authoritarian, displacing the working class to suburbs. The new Paris was a city for the bourgeoisie, with boulevards as tools of control. The 1850s and early 60s were truly the golden years of the Second Empire, a period marked by both dazzling spectacle and remarkable transformation. Paris, the heart of France, pulsed with new energy and ambition. Economic growth soared as Napoleon III launched sweeping reforms, modernizing the economy and laying the foundations for a new era of prosperity. Factories multiplied and new industries flourished, bringing jobs and hope to many. Railways expanded rapidly across the country, knitting together distant regions and stimulating trade, industry, and communication like never before. New financial institutions, such as the influential Crédit Mobilier, fueled ambitious projects, financing railways, urban renewal, and grand public works that reshaped the nation. The imperial court became a glittering stage for celebration and display, with Empress Eugénie setting trends in fashion and elegance, hosting lavish balls at the Tuileries Palace that dazzled Europe. Paris itself was transformed into the capital of pleasure and luxury, where high society reveled in new theaters, cafes, and grand boulevards, embodying the spirit of the age. Universal expositions showcased French achievements in science, technology, and the arts, projecting an image of power, innovation, and prosperity to the world. The emperor and empress became masters of public relations, making frequent appearances and cultivating a modern, approachable image of monarchy that resonated with the people. Yet, beneath this dazzling performance, the regime maintained a firm grip on power, distracting many from its authoritarian nature and tight political control. But beneath the surface, the empire was quietly changing, as new ideas and social forces began to stir. Sensing the shifting mood, Napoleon III began to liberalize his rule, gradually granting more power to the legislative body and opening the door to political debate. He relaxed press censorship, allowing newspapers to flourish, and gave workers the right to strike, marking significant steps toward greater freedom and social justice. This so-called liberal empire was seen by some as a sign of weakness, but by others as a genuine attempt at democracy and reform within the imperial system. The emperor hoped these changes would secure his dynasty's future, but as the decade drew to a close, it became clear that time and history were running out for the Second Empire. Napoleon III aimed to restore France's European influence. Supporting national self-determination, he backed Italian unification. Victorious against Austria, France gained Nice and Savoy. However, his Mexican venture was a costly failure. The rise of Prussia under Bismarck posed a new threat. Prussia's victory over Austria shifted Europe's power balance. France's prestige suffered and Napoleon's health declined. A confrontation with Prussia seemed inevitable as both prepared for war. The empire's golden years were over. A Spanish succession crisis sparked war with Prussia. France's demand for guarantees backfired, leading to the Ems dispatch. Bismarck's edited telegram incited French outrage. On July 19, 1870, France declared war. The French army, unprepared for large-scale conflict, faced a superior Prussian force. Napoleon III, in poor health, took command, but failed to lead effectively. The French suffered defeats, with the main army trapped in Metz. Napoleon's desperate gamble to relieve them led to disaster. The decisive battle at Sedan was a disaster for France. Surrounded, the French army faced overwhelming German forces. On September 1, 1870, the slaughter was immense. Napoleon III surrendered, becoming a prisoner of war. The news of Sedan's fall reached Paris, sparking fury. The Second Empire lost all legitimacy. On September 4th, Republican leaders proclaimed the Third Republic. Empress Eugénie fled to England, and the empire collapsed. The new government of national defense vowed to fight on, as Paris faced siege. The Second Empire's legacy is undeniable, shaping modern France. Paris's boulevards and parks, a model for urban planners, define the city. The idea of a modern, organized city is a product of this era. Politically, the Second Empire was authoritarian yet populist. Napoleon III's rule through plebiscites influenced future leaders. The empire's economic policies launched France into the industrial age. State-led investment and free trade laid the groundwork for modern capitalism. The Second Empire's story is one of ambition, transformation, and failure. Napoleon III modernized France, but his regime's downfall left a lasting impact. It remains a crucial chapter in France's history, a period of grand dreams and tragic end.